Thank you for that amazing and wonderful treatment of us. We've been doing this over 20 years now, haven't we? You were in the room the first day. I think you and Barbara and I are the last of that particular group that hang out here regularly. Is anybody else here? That was it. That was us, yeah. Cool. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, the idea of outgiving God is what came to me to share with you this week. There was a book in the bookstore at the Miami Church of Religious Science, the place where I found this teaching. I don't remember the exact name. Barbara and I conferred on this. We think perhaps it was Raymond Charles Barker, one of the pioneers of our movement, that wrote the book. And my best recollection is the book was called How to Change Somebody Else. How to Change Other People. Thank you. How to Change Other People. So there was a title page, and you open it up, and the first thing he wrote was, you can't. But here's some things you can do. And he went on from there. Well, this topic is sort of in that same genre. Because you can't. You can't outgive God. The system is designed so that that is actually impossible. So that whatever it is that you bring to life, that and more comes back to you. It's just that way. The challenge with that, of course, is that a lot of the stuff we put out into life, we don't want back. And here it comes. You know, our judgments, our confusion, our fear, our doubts, they come right back and justify themselves. And we think that's the way life works, but it's not. Life is simply that reflective essence of who we are. So whatever it is that is on our heart, whatever we are thinking about, whatever has our attention, that's what we're going to get every time. That's what's going to come back. So I bring to you the idea this morning that perhaps we should recognize that in our lives and start thinking about what it is we're putting out. Start thinking about how it is that we experience life. And do we do it from a place of clarity and certainty and choice, conscious choice? Or do we do it from that impulsive, reactive part of us that is afraid? Anybody here never experienced fear? Of course, we've all experienced fear. We do it all the time. It's the way we are kind of wired that when something occurs that we don't know what's going to happen next, we have some fear around it. Okay. But what we can learn is that our fear is not there to stop us. It's simply there to point out we haven't done this before so that we'll really pay attention. And that's a great place to be. So don't be afraid of your fear. Just know that its only message to you is pay attention because something new is happening. And then everything's okay. Babies cry because they haven't had much experience of what's coming next. They don't know. And then once things calm down, they get a meal, have a nice poop, everything's great. So I want to talk about this idea of what we put out comes back, because that's the essence of this idea of outgiving God, or not being able to actually. So many people that teach the idea of giving is that if you give, you're going to get that back. Well, there are other elements that I've discovered in this that really play an important role. How is it that you give? How do you give in your life? Do you give with strings attached? Do you give with uncertainty that this is the right thing to do? Because when you do, I think you influence how that gift is received and reflected back to you. And that has been, some people believe, oh, just start tithing. Just take 10% of your money and give it away to the source of your spiritual good, and you are certain to prosper. And I can't say that's wrong. I just think that it's what's in your mind as you're doing that giving that makes it work or not work. Because there are people that swear, it doesn't work. I've done it. I've given 10%, and I don't get anything back. Well, if that's the case, could it be that when you're doing your giving, you're struggling with it? That you are afraid that you're not going to have enough, that it's not going to work out? So I looked for an angle that corrects this issue, that deals with this and addresses it and gives us something in that giving process that would guarantee that we would be returned whatever it is we're giving multiplied abundantly. And I found it in Proverbs. I found it in the Bible. Who knew? I guess you guys that meet on Tuesday mornings and do the Bible class knew that, but it was news for me. Here's what it is. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. Whatever brings blessings will be enriched, and the one who waters will be watered. Now, the operative words there, gives freely. That's the distinction. If you give and you like it, if you give and you bless it, if you give to life in a wonderful way, and that's just second nature for you, the universe must respond in kind or something greater. It must. It's the freely, though, that makes it work. I really believe that. I believe that if we give and there's an attachment to it, then we're screwed. It's not going to work, and then we're going to think, well, none of it works. But the truth is that it works perfectly, as long as we're not making it conditional. Sort of like the way love works. When you love someone with conditions, sure enough, those conditions are going to get jammed. Boom. If you love unconditionally, if your feelings for someone, doesn't matter what they do, you're still going to love them, no matter what. You're always going to love them, and there's always going to be love. That's just how it works. When it gets conditional, when it's not free, everything changes. The whole equation's different. And it skews the whole perception of what's going on. So we want to give freely. If we're going to give it all, give freely. If we're not, according to Proverbs, we're going to stay in that place of suffering want. Anybody here like wanting? You know, actually I do like wanting. But you can't stay there in the want. If you stay in the want, then it becomes very uncomfortable. But if you use the want as a direction to go, to say, you know, I'd really like that in my life, then you turn your want into a have. But staying in a wanting gets really old really fast. So, you know, we're a spiritual community. And as a spiritual community, we're here to test these things. We're here to work on them. So we're kind of structured in a way that allows us to do that. And if you haven't noticed, I had the wonderful opportunity of being with those who joined our center this morning, yesterday afternoon, and we had a lovely discussion, and I showed them the chart that we've shown every group that has ever joined our center, as least far back as I can remember, maybe not always, but we came up with this idea, and it has certainly, there we are, don't move forward, there we go. You can do this, John. See, I can. This very basic chart that explains how we interact in this community. As you can see, well, let me explain. The outer circle that you're looking at represents anyone that has any contact in any way with this community, whether it's online, whether it's through the mail, whether it's by any means coming in the room, certainly. Let me tell you, I'll tell you that later. I guess, of course, I'm an extrovert. It just comes to me, I want to put it out, but I'm not ready to do that. So the big circle on the outside represents everybody that has any relationship with this community at all. And as you can see at the bottom there, what that big circle represents, all of us, is the idea of receiving something, getting something from being here. We call it receivership, meaning that all of us want to get something for being here. Nobody comes in without some desire for something more in their life. I'm so happy about that we should come with that. We all come with that. That's great. However, if we all stayed at that level and didn't move into these other levels, this place would go bankrupt in a week because all of us would be focusing on what we're getting and not focusing on something bigger than that. So as you move into these inner circles, obviously, it's about your relationship with the center and your interaction of energy, of money, of time, of interest with this center. So from receivership, we move to membership. That happened today. We had some folks that became members of the center, and all of us members stood up in the room, and we remembered who we are as a community. What a wonderful thing. It's kind of a formal thing. We have ritual. We do these lovely things with it. And we stand together as members. But there's another circle inside of that we call ownership. Ownership. What could that mean? Well, there's nothing in our bylaws about ownership. It doesn't say it anywhere. But we believe that there are people here that just own the place. It's theirs. They take care of it. I observed one of those moments this morning when I think 3 of us started playing with Tim Wagner. He was asked to something about the announcements, and he was asked to be a prosperity acceptor. And I looked at him and said, rub my back. He started to. That's a sign of ownership. He's going to be engaged in wherever he can, in every way that he can, and he loves this place. And I speak for you in this moment, but I know it to be true. He loves this place. His beautiful wife wants to travel. She's retiring from many, many years of working, and she's going, I want to travel. He says, that's okay if we can be at the center on Sunday. So I think they've negotiated something reasonable between being here every Sunday and traveling God the world, I imagine, whatever you guys are going to do. But to have that kind of a heart for this place is a clear demonstration of owning it. It's not like I own it so I'm going to get something. I own it because it's mine and I love it. And I want to give to it as much as I possibly can. And then, of course, there's leadership. And we have lots of leaders around here. We have practitioners that are leaders. They lead our hearts. We have a board of trustees that are our stewards. We have our leadership council, which are the leaders of all of our service circles that really manage this place and make it work. Thomas is taking pictures. He's the leader of the photography circle. See, they're not all hard-working circles. Some of them are really, really fun. Right, Thomas?
That's right.
That's right. So that's the context. And what happens is the further you go into these inner circles of our center, the more you get. The more you get. The more you give, but the more you get. That's the element that I'm talking about. The more you give to life, wherever you are, the more you're going to get from it. And if you're an outsider, you want to sit on the edge, you get something, but you won't get the same thing. And you know what? There's some generous people in this room, some amazingly generous people who understand this deeply. And they're the people that are finding their way and haven't got it yet. You know, that just the idea of giving here is not why they're here. They're here to take. And I love all of them. Everyone. Doesn't matter. But I sure do appreciate the people that are finding how to use this center for the fullest experience of their lives. One thing that we teach around here quite a bit is the idea of purpose. How many of you have a purpose statement? Excellent. Thank you. So those of you that have a purpose statement, how many of you have a purpose statement that is about what you're going to get from life? Is focused completely on that? Not a single hand. That's right. Our purpose is not to get. We're going to get. We're going to get a lot. But it's only based on what we give. That's how it works. Because you can't outgive God. If you're going to play with life, if you're going to be engaged in life and put yourself all out into life, it's going to come back. Not always from the same direction that you give it. And that's okay. But it's going to come back. It's going to expand your life because you're willing to put something into life. That's how it works. So anyone who's spending all their time focusing on what they're going to get is going to be disappointed. And I trust you. I want you to trust me in knowing that every one of you that focuses on what you're going to give to life is going to get more than you imagined. Because that's how it works. It works based on our ability to prime the pump, to move the energy, to keep it going. Because as we give to life, life gives back to us in a much greater way. A lot of people are going, well, of course, we know that. That's not news. Well, it is news in the sense that we're not all where we want to be with it. If there are folks in the room that think, there's more to life than I've experienced, then what I want you to know is that there's still more of you to give to life. Somehow, some way, there's still something more. So if you want more in life, let that go and focus on giving to life joyously, freely, fully, and let life give back to you because it will. It has to. It's the law. It's the way spiritual law works, no exceptions. And I'm sure that those of you that have experienced this in your life would be standing here saying exactly the same thing. There's this wonderful interaction between our international organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, and this center. I have been engaged in the activities of this center for 15 years. It was in January of 2000 that I was reintroduced to this thing called United Church of Religious Science. It's not called that anymore. But even before that, when I found this movement in 1984, I very quickly realized there were two parts to it, because my minister was trained in one of the parts, yet was serving in the other part. I knew right away. I said, well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Why are there two of them? So it took quite a few years. It took a lot of time for me to find my way into that process of changing that. It was worth every bit of it. You know, the first meeting that I was at in Long Beach, California in 2000, I was sitting in a group of leaders, top leaders, and one of them said, my community is not sure what they're getting for being in this organization. And she was serious. And I said, well, you know, I'm not a member of this organization. I'm delighted to be sitting in this circle, but I'm not a member of this organization. But if I was, I would do whatever it took for this organization to be successful if I'm going to put money into it. I'm going to do everything that I can, and I did. I put thousands upon thousands of hours of energy and effort and creativity into creating this international organization and bringing the two back together. And today I'm president of that organization. But here's an interesting, it's a good thing. Here's the thing with the money around that. We take 10% of all the money that you support this organization with, and we give it to that organization. And then they pay me a salary which is more than we give to that organization. And I serve here, and I take no income for being here. Guess who wins? Everybody! Everybody wins. And then I take 10% of what I get from them and give it to this organization. There's this wonderful dynamic flow that goes on because I'm pushing it out there as quick as I can, as are we as a community sending it off as quick as we can. And what happens is, this is a healthy community. Financially, we're a healthy community. We're doing really, really well, probably better than we ever have. It's working. But you've got to focus on what you're putting out to have it come in a way that serves you and blesses you to the level that you would like. That's all part of this dynamic flow. So, there's one more story that I want to share with you. We're going to do some prayers today. We're going to have the practitioners come up and offer treatment to everyone, which is always delightful. But there's one thought that one story that I want to share with you before we stop. We had a wonderful meeting this week. It wasn't supposed to be any kind of a radically, monumental awareness experience, but it was. It was a meeting with Devon and Rodney. Barbara and Nancy and I sat down with Devon and Rodney. We talked about our website and about what we could do to kind of fill in some gaps. And they're working now, beginning work on actually recreating our website. And we're excited about that, and that's wonderful. Somewhere in the midst of the conversation about the website, I said to Devon and Rodney, how many hits do we get on our website? And they looked and said, well, not really sure right now. So Rodney jumped on the computer. He sat there and grabbed Barbara's computer and he started looking it up. And he found out, and I wanted to share that with you. First of all, I want to remind you what the website looks like. Generosity. We're going to do that later. This is not your website. Don't freak out. Okay, but this is roughly how it looks when you go to our website. It's actually an amazing thing. The thing that makes this website, and it has great information, it has a lovely whoa, don't go there too fast. I got a heavy finger today. Pat, I probably should have let you do this. Okay, what I want you to know is that all of these are buttons, that are places and things you can get. This one right here, the free downloads, makes our website unique to all others in our movement. Most of our 400 member communities have websites. Nobody gives away stuff like we do. It takes a lot of work to give away all the stuff that we do. It's not that we don't have the opportunity to donate, because we do. You can donate on the thing, but it's not mandated that you have to get information. So we're just putting it out there. And Devon and Rodney spend hours getting information onto our website. It's amazing what's there. All of our Sunday talks. I scanned them this morning. They may go back further, but at least to 2006. At least to 2006. Every Sunday message is up there. Classes, workshops, books. Books that you can just download for free. They're in public domain, so it's not like we're breaking any laws, but they're available. You've got a source for getting those. And audiobooks. Audiobooks that Barbara puts together. Barbara puts together these books, and it takes many, many hours to read books onto audio in a way that it doesn't have to be edited and fixed up, and it's quality stuff. And you can just download that into your computer and listen to it. And listen to these great masters teach us about new thought, about how to live effectively in the world. And Barbara has a passion for that. Even though there are many books on the website, she has said to me a number of times, I wish I had more time to do more books and put them on the website. It's a real passion for her. So, how many hits? About 50,000 a month we're working toward. It was on April 21st that we got the 30,000. We don't know where it is now, but that's a lot of hits on the website. A lot of people are going to our website. A lot of people are getting information and downloading things and using it. We had a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was last week, a couple here from Massachusetts that told Barbara that every Sunday morning they sit down with their coffee, they open their computer, and they watch last week's message. That's their spiritual practice. So they came all the way from Massachusetts to see us live, to be in the room. Isn't that amazing? Yes. People in South Africa are saying that we're changing the scope of Africa with our website. Who knows how many lives we're touching? We don't know. But we know it's a lot. Barbara put it in context right after that meeting. During the meeting, she said, you know what? I think everyone that comes on Sunday is my studio audience. Isn't that great? So one other thing to show you about this, just to demonstrate how spot on this is, I have the top 10. It was on the same report that Rodney pulled up in the office. The top 10 search engine or searches that take people to our website. Check it out. Keywords that people use to search. They are in order. Rodney closed the website before I said, well, where am I on the list? I'm sure I'm number 11. It seems that it's either Barbara or Thomas Troward that people come to our website for, and either way it works because they're coming, because people want to know. So here's what I get from this. The generosity, especially of Barbara and Devon and Rodney, and all the work they put into this website, is touching that many lives in the world. Do we get money from this? Yeah, we get a little money from this. We're going to talk about actually putting a little tag invitation at the end of the Sunday messages to invite people to donate, just so it's said out loud. Nonetheless, the idea that this many people are having the opportunity to touch this that we know in such an amazing way, it tells us we're doing our work. It feeds us. It motivates us to keep going. So what I want you to know is that you really cannot outgive God. It's impossible. If you put your life, your energy, your enthusiasm, your passion for life into whatever is before you, it will come back. It has to. Because this is how it works. Isn't that lovely? Isn't it good to know this? Shouldn't every child on the planet know this? That whatever they're putting out is coming back. It's the best lesson I know. It's the best motivator to live a meaningful life. It gets us up in the morning because something wonderful is happening. And it's happening with you. It's happening with me. I am so grateful. And I love you very much. Thank you.